All right, we are live. We are here. It's Labor Day weekend. It's Saturday. This is the Helping Friendly podcast. I'm RJ. I'm here with Megan, and we have a special guest, Ryan Storm.
Hello.
Hey, Ryan. Ryan
Hi.
is Ryan is breaking several of our rules right now at the same time,
Oh,
but we're gonna let him slide.
thank you.
It's true. It's true. I didn't know that you wouldn't be in a reserved location for this filming, but we're gonna let it go because we love you and because you're
I wasn't
active.
prepared. I wasn't
know, it-
prepared. You know, it was short notice. I'm always ready to come on, and I appreciate you guys making an exception for me being out in the wild. I'm pretty sure, knock on wood, that the cell reception here in Boulder is really good. So
That's
seems to
great.
be no issues so far.
Well, we're glad you could come on last minute. Thanks, Ryan.
And I want to say this is so. For those who don't know, Ryan Storm is a frequent contribution. Well, I guess frequent contributor to the comment section. I guess I should say of the HF Pod, and I think hosts 17 other podcasts.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It's always fun to have you on, Ryan. So I guess before we get started, here's a quiz for both of you, and I think I'm kind of glad Brian's not here because I think it's going to make it harder. Does everyone know what today is? It's the most important day of the year, and can either of you tell me why?
September 2nd.
Nope. And feel free to post in the comments if you know why today is the most important day of the year.
You know I don't do well with this kind of stuff, RJ.
Someone will. All right, we'll leave it open until someone comments.
I want to know. Now
I know
now I'm
Ryan
intrigued.
is so upset that he doesn't know.
Well, I can give you a hint. If
Okay.
I give you
Okay.
the hint, then that'll give it away.
All right.
Okay.
There is a hint based on my shirt.
I can't see your shirt.
Ohio State. It's a football thing. This is a
Today-
football thing.
Today is
Russell.
It's the
you know.
first day of college football, guys. Come on.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
my
I thought this
God.
was something fish related that I cared about.
You definitely have the wrong audience for this today with me and Ryan
Thank
on
you.
the pod with
Thank you so much. I guess the only other thing I would say is that, well, a couple things. One is that this is actually today is the anniversary of, I guess, 11 years of another amazing Dick's Sand. So we're one day off
True.
from
Mm.
from the 2012 version, which is a part of maybe what people consider to be their comeback run. Many people do. I think that
Many
was their
people are
comeback
saying
run.
this.
Many
Has
people
been
Yes.
said.
has been said. Okay, so Ryan, is this like what trip to Dick's is this for you?
This is my
Tell
first
me about it.
time. My
Okay.
first time at Dick's. It has been
Wow.
absolutely incredible so far. 2 days in. Obviously, Colorado is awesome. I love it here. We went on a beautiful hike near Boulder yesterday. We're back in Boulder today to go to the farmers market. I did the Thursday night show with our good friends Brian and Justin, who were on here yesterday, which was a lot of fun. Saw them again yesterday. But I wanted to say, I don't know if it was talked about on the pod yesterday, but there's truly nothing like watching Brian Brinkman react to fish when they go into a post-peak jam or like a new jam segment. They're like 20 minutes in and they go somewhere else. His reaction is beyond anything I have ever seen. And it's just amazing.
Well, as someone who has never seen a show with Brian, it's definitely, I think seeing a show with him is a singular experience for sure.
I think I love seeing shows with Brian. Brian and I have kind of complementary styles, and I really, it's very fun to see a show with him. So Megan, you guys gotta figure that out sooner rather
Yeah,
than
we will.
later.
We will, for sure.
Okay, so Ryan, you're there with your family. I have to say,
Yes.
that additional storms keep coming out of the woodwork that I knew nothing about, and I was a little bit sad that given that we, are in communication daily, I did not know you had a brother. I found out you had a sister
You
recently.
didn't?
I did not know you had a
Sorry.
brother until
You didn't know I had a
Drew,
brother?
Our friend and key part of Osiris, Drew, texted me and was like, I see Ryan. Does he have a little brother? And I was like, I don't think so. And it turns out he does.
I do. It's funny. Most people know about Andy because he comes to shows sometimes. This weekend is his first fish since 2019, which is very exciting. But he likes Fish. He exists on Twitter. He keeps getting mad because he wants his account to only be about sports, and I keep tagging him in things music related. But the thing that most people don't know about is my sister, who despises everything to do with jam bands and Fish, and wants no part of any of this.
You gotta love her for it. You gotta love her for it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know about your sister because of that controversy. So,
Right.
And I heard from Brian that your brother is a football player.
He's a multi-sport athlete,
Wow.
I would
Wow.
say.
Wow.
But yeah,
You guys got- The Storm family's got it all.
listen, Rob Storm's got it all. He has the music kid, he has the sports kid, and he has Joey for lots of nonsense.
Perfect. I
Wow,
like having.
perfect.
I hope my kids end up like that. I'd like to have a music kid, a nonsense kid, and a sports kid. Actually, I kind of do have that. That's cool. All right.
There you
So
We're talking
guys,
about a
look-
Fish show today.
we are.
We
So
can't get
this
there
is-
yet. It's way too
this is
early.
yeah, I mean, come on. We're only 6 minutes in here. All right. So we had a Fish show last night. The second show. What I guess, Ryan, what was it like for you going back the second night? I'm sure like going in the first night is a little bit, you're kind of getting your everything set up. But what was it like going back and being there for the second night?
Oh, it was awesome. Going back in, the energy was high once again. We tried a little bit of a different spot. Brian is a big, like almost directly page side guy. We went a little bit further out, more towards the back of the stadium yesterday, right in front of one of the speaker stacks. So the sound was incredible where we were. We had a bit of a better angle on the lights. So it was awesome. And yeah, it just, I felt ready for another show. Saw some people in the lot before. Once again, good friends everywhere, and just the energy was just amazing going into the show. Because Thursday night's show was so good. 20-minute Carini opener, 20-minute tweezer, like there was so much good stuff to dive into. And I think we were all ready for another amazing one last night, which is exactly what happened.
I like the so just to go through the set list real quick. Wolfman's brother, not two songs. Sparkle, Bathtub Gin, Back on the Train, Halfway to the Moon, Bouncin', Stash, Esther, Bowie. I like the Wolfman's opener. I think it's a good move. Kind of sets the energy. I think. What were your highlights of that first set, Ryan, and what did you notice?
Definitely the Wolfman's. They came out of the gate kind of type 1.5 ish kind of jam. Hinting at some exploration, but not really going anywhere. 13 minutes, which is a bit longer than your average Wolfman's. So pretty cool there. But yeah, the energy was great from the jump. Obviously, as you just mentioned, that song is such a great opener. And then the set was just really well played. Like the Stash and the Bowie were both really well executed. Trey nailed the compositions. And just, again, the energy during that first set was there. It was lighter on the jams than Thursday night's first set, but the energy was there. The song selection was great. And I thought it was an overall very strong set.
Yeah, the playing really stood out to me too. I thought right away the Wolfmans, I felt like they just had some like extra mustard, especially in their vocals. And I thought their playing sounded like really tight and inspired. Like 9 minutes in, Trey was like bending a lot of his notes, really sultry and really soulful. And then an awesome like monster peak. Like that's a great way to start the show. I thought Jin sounded really good. Trey's vocals sounded a little tired, but the band sounded amazing. Fishman was just absolutely ripping as he always does. But I thought that was really stood out to me too. I thought the flow was just okay for this set. It didn't have like that kind of really great flow that you want from a first set, but I agree. I thought the Esther and the Bowie were just like perfectly played. Esther especially, Trey sounded so effortless and delicate throughout that whole version. And it's, we're not getting these Bowies that we want that like go far out, but they're sounding really incredible still when they're playing them.
100%. And Esther, I looked up the stats at Separate because I was curious. It's been played 8 times since the beginning of 4.0 after being played like 8 times in the entirety of 3.0, which is, crazy. Like it's still considered a rarity, but now it's popping up so many times. Like last night was my 3rd Esther, which is, kind of crazy.
So only one new song in the 2 shows. Is that surprising to you guys?
Definitely. I was expecting The Well to make an appearance in one of the first 2 nights, some of the other ones. But, I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, we don't
Yeah.
need to inundate every single set list with these new songs. And I think they've been finding a really good balance this summer of debuting the songs and working them into the rotation without it feeling like 2019, where it's like,
Mhm.
here's more Ghosts of the Forest. Here, you know, like
Yeah.
kind of just everywhere, right? So I think Trey has been doing a really good job of choosing when to throw these songs in, but I still want Life Saving Gun really badly.
Hell
Nice.
yeah. Or like a
Yeah.
super long pillow dress. I feel like that would be sick at 6. But yeah, I agree. I think Trey's just absolutely killing it with set listing in general for this whole summer. I thought MSG was like a perfect example of like all the shows, just set list construction was perfect. But I also just want to give a shout out to Halfway to the Moon because Brian and I were talking about this on 40 for 40 a couple weeks ago, and we covered Paige's show at High Sierra. Paige writes really great songs, and this is a good example of it. And I love it in the middle of a first set. I think it's a nice call.
Yeah.
I like the yeah, thanks Glenn for the comment. You are unblocked for saying a derogatory comment about Ohio State football, which will not be tolerated in this forum. Everyone knows I'm pretty easygoing person, but once you start talking about Ohio State, it goes out the window.
Ohio State or Possum. Actually, speaking of Possum, RJ, you'll appreciate this stat. Andy is currently 9 shows in, and his most common not seen is Possum.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
He's nailing all the good shows.
said, yeah, Brian
lucky
said
kid.
last night, like, hope you keep that streak going.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to happen. It can't
I have
happen.
a feeling
Well,
it won't make it out of this weekend.
last SPAC show, you know, like maybe it could happen.
Yeah.
It could.
It
would be fun.
So this second set is really, I mean, you know, Sand into No Man,
Ridiculous.
into Llama, yeah, Mountains in the Mist, Sense into Shine a Light, Wilson into Split Up and Melt, Encore. This is a really, and I guess I would just say, I think the first set we kind of all agree there wasn't like anything kind of major that came out of it. It was sort of just there were some peaks in the Jin and the Wolfmans, and Esther was well done, but you know this is like kind of the opposite. Come out just raging with Sand, and my only first observation is just they can just take any of these songs and can be a 20-minute set opener, any song, you know, within some parameters. But it's just wild how that, you know, the Sand just turns into a monster and not necessarily in the way that you think it would.
Yeah, it's just Fishman, the MVP of the show last night. Like, he was leading every single jam, but it was unbelievable from the beginning of Sand. You know, again, it just felt so effortless from them. They were just going, you know, through the jam, and it was just unfolding, you know, as they were playing. There was no there was no need for them to force another section or a transition or anything to get to the 23-minute mark that they got to. It was just 23 minutes of Sand, and it was so good. What was interesting to me is that it actually felt like they weren't totally done, and Fishman was the one that initiated the return to Sand, which kind of felt a little bit abrupt, but you know, we were 23 minutes in and the jam was amazing, and what came next was amazing. So, you know, who cares?
Yeah, I thought that I think the effortless is really what stood out to me too. Trey sounded so fluid throughout this whole jam, doing lots of like trilling, really high notes. I noticed this last night and the night before that the Bliss jams aren't sounding like that usual kind of path that builds to like a simple peak, but instead they're kind of dancing around a theme and a groove in a way that feels like a little bit newer to me or just more interesting. I think also less reliance on Trey's effect pedal is definitely like increasing his look towards melody and like tone clarity in a way that's just, I think, making a really big difference this summer. And then so when he does
100%.
kind of go into that effect pedal use, which is like around like 15, 16 minutes here, it feels kind of like earned. And then like you hear Paige get on the organ, and Mike, I thought he was incredible in Sand and in No Man's Land, just like dropping just sick bass lines. And it starts to get kind of weird, but they're all kind of still clinging to a thread. And Trey gets like super rock and roll crunchy. And then Paige is laying in like the synthy edges. And I loved how they kind of creep back in. I thought I almost heard Trey like hinting at returning to the song, but then like they decide to like stretch it out. And yeah, I thought it was like, I'm super excited to hear what you thought about this No Man's, because I loved this jam.
Great point about Paige's organ in the Sand as well. That was something that really stood out to me during the show last night. It was just so aggressive. Like, and I mean, I just love his muscular tone that he has on his organ. And yeah, it just fit perfectly within that improvisation, just the way that it unfolded.
Yeah, and I think there's the um this is just Neil, just thank you for this. Just a beautiful comment in here that we have to address. And I just want to read this for our listeners who are not watching live. Neil,
Yeah.
Ryan's co-host. I'm so confused right now. Did Brian Brinkman visit a fortune-telling machine on the Jersey Boardwalk years ago and wish to be old, then just now return back to being an adolescent boy? Wow, that just not only is that
That's poetry.
it's
Yeah.
poetry. It's a I mean, it's a throwback to the 80s. It's got a little bit of everything for everyone. So thank you, Neil, for making an appearance.
And very true, because from what I understand, Ryan, you are very similar to Brian when he was your age. So it's hitting on all points for me.
That's a compliment.
Yeah, I would take it as one too.
And Brian, Brian has a brother, but I think he already has adopted you as his second brother, as have Megan and I. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Welcome to the family. I'm
Thank
not
you
sure
very
about
much.
Jonathan. We'll have to check.
We'll have to check.
He
Yeah.
has to get more into Goose first.
Yeah. Ryan, I don't know if I told you this, but during the MSG run, every night after the show, my friends would be like, all right, where are we meeting your little brother before we go find you?
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Honored to be a part of your family.
Yeah, same.
We
So the
had
snowman.
yes, and we had that. We had a great. I just want to say, the last night of Fish, we had a great post-show drink together, and somehow, even though we were all sharing drinks, because I took Megan's beer that she didn't like, and she ordered a new beer, and we were all close
Such a
talking,
gentleman.
and
You're
yelling.
such a gentleman, RJ.
I am.
You
We
are.
were all
That was
close
really
talking,
kind.
yelling
That
at
was
each
it.
other, sharing drinks. I'm the only one who got
That was it.
COVID.
You had to be there.
Oh, how did you get COVID? And I didn't. And I was at all of those MSG shows with Ryan. Ryan and I
It's luck
were
of the draw.
in each other's faces the entire time. In your face, I was
know.
with you.
Maybe
all
it was.
night that
Maybe you
night.
got it on vacation.
Maybe it was the Manchester, New Hampshire airport.
Yeah.
We'll never know, but we'll
We'll never
never know.
know.
Fish. So this No Men jam. So Megan? What's your take on this jam?
Well, we were texting a little bit before this. This jam reminds me of a Goose Jam. It has this like effortless groove that you just fall into, which is also why I always love No Man, because it's like it has that effortless groove. This one is like, it's kind of like you're just gliding along in like a river or something, but then you like hit some like really intense rapids and it turns into this like really exhilarating and triumphant, and the peaks are really, really beautiful. This is something I really wish I could have danced to live. I felt really jealous of everybody that got to dance to this live, but it's awesome and I loved it.
If you go to the airport now, you might be able to make it here for the show. Just saying.
Yeah, I gotta stay. I gotta stay like a mom in it.
I know.
I saw a lot of fish this summer.
I know. The No Men was absolutely phenomenal. It's just triumph, euphoria, as you mentioned. I don't totally hear the Goose comparison in this one, but I kind of get where you're coming from on it. But yeah, it was just unbelievable. Tempo was up again. That's the Fishman effect. He's just been pushing everything all summer. And then the segue into Llama was excellent. Perfect call there. I was hoping for like a no quarter or something to come during last night's second set. I felt during Sand that could have done really well. But Llama was a great place to go after that No Men, and just wrapped up an incredible 40-something minutes of music to start off the second set. It was unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't really. I listened to it only once, Megan, and I didn't really hear that. But I've heard similar things in different jams from the summer tour. So I guess it's just a matter of perspective. But I do think the kind of one thing one of my friends used to say about the Disco Biscuits in comparison to Fish. This is like back in the early 2000s. Is that like the Disco Biscuits were like always peaking. Like in their jams,
right?
It's kind of like a constant upward peak.
Yeah,
and I think that's what Goose does well. It's like it's sort of just slowly taking you up a hill, and I think Fish doesn't do that as much, but I think when they do, that's what it reminds me of. I don't know if that makes sense to either of you guys, but
Yeah.
that's where I hear that the most.
I got
Which
it.
I think has been so interesting in how like so many of Fish's blissy jams, like I was saying earlier, just haven't been really predictable big peaks. It's been really
Exactly.
cool. I feel like they've been like pulling and fraying at the edges more and experimenting more and being more patient in those moments, which has just been really cool. And
Yeah.
I thought the whole last quarter of this show, I think I would have been in like a puddle on the floor. I mean, Mountains in the Mist, Sense and Subtle Sounds, and Shine a Light. This is why Fish is like no other band, because they can play this wild, super high energy, diverse, improvised 45 whatever minutes of music. And then they can end with really emotional, really interesting ballads that are just heavy hitters. And I just feel like this is exactly what I want Fish to do. It's like I want them to like blow me away with improv and then just like make me cry with sweet stuff. And this was I loved the end of the set. How did it feel in the room?
Mountains was an absolutely perfect call to come after Llama. I love that song so much, and I was so happy to hear that again. You know, and I was thinking, like, you know, it's not time to close the set yet. You know, we've got something else has to be fill like 12 to 15 minutes here. Sense was awesome. I was expecting something maybe like a Chalk Dust, but you know, just saving that for a 25-minute version tonight or tomorrow, I think.
There you go.
Yeah. But Sense was great.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're good. But yeah, Sense was great, and it felt like it had a more mellow vibe than the jams in the first half of the set, which was a really great contrast. There was a lot more space happening, you know, laid back, but still Fishman pushing the tempo, you know, as he was doing all night, which was really good. So cool 12 minutes there, and then Shine a Light was just a great set closer, you know, get the energy up there. But yeah, love this fourth quarter.
I think, Ryan, one thing I just wanted to ask, what do you feel like the, I guess, overall energy and crowd and all that is like compared to other outdoor venues and the other places that you've seen Fish?
I mean, obviously it's no MSG, but the energy this weekend so far has been amazing. And you know, I'll talk about it in the encore, but like the glow sticks at Dick's, I know this is a thing that people talk about. You know, I was kind of getting pelted with them last night from the you know, like the upper suite area, you know, above where I was. I got hit in the neck at one point during the second set. I would like to request, if any of those sweet people are watching this podcast today, the normal glow sticks are fine. The like extra thick ones, you're actually going to injure someone. So please stop throwing those from up there.
Yeah, that's intense. And you can still say my little brother now that you said that MSG is better than Dick's. So
okay,
we'll
good.
stay.
I'm not getting disowned.
We're gonna be on good terms still. Yeah. No, I'm dying to see them out there. It seems like such a fun, awesome vibe. Everybody seems super happy and just seems like a great place to see them.
Yeah.
So Brian from Attendance Bias. Hey, Brian. Is it more mellow since it's much larger outdoor and more room to move around? What do you think, Ryan?
I'd say it depends on the time. I don't know. I feel like the energy isn't as present, obviously, as MSG, because MSG is a contained space. And so you're not like yelling into the night air. You know, so Dick's has more people in it. But it's harder to get a gauge, you know, comparing an outdoor venue to an indoor venue. Because again, with an indoor venue, there's nowhere for the energy to go but bouncing around the inside of the walls. At Dick's, you're just putting it out into the air. So I don't know. I don't know if it's more mellow.
Well, I've been there. My first trip was 2014, where I saw all 3 shows that year, and then I went out in 2021 for one night. I think it's like I actually think it's a pretty chill venue. I always feel like it's, especially like if you're on the field and you're up close, which I've been, and then you move back and you're like in the back area, and it's just like there's room, you know, and everyone's like pretty high most of the time, and like, you know, it feels like a very
Colorado
chill vibe in general. But yeah, I think it depends where you are too, obviously. And Brian does have the good spot. Being up close on the field is really, really hard.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I think there's just a different vibe to fish that's not on the East Coast. I've always felt that. And I just think that there's always just kind of a different feeling when you're seeing fish, out in Colorado or on the West Coast. It just always feels different.
Definitely.
Okay, so should we talk about the encore?
Yes, please.
Pretty wild.
Something kind of big happened.
Pretty wild. What's the what do you got, Ryan?
Well, so Wilson starts the encore, energy through the non-existent roof. And I was like, show like this, like they may end it here. Like this could be a 1-song encore. They might do Tweet Prize, something. And then they started Split Open and Melt. And I was like, oh boy, like, I think I tweeted like, we are in for it. And in for it we were. Because 17-minute Split Open and Melt in the encore. It was one of those things where, the MSG Melt 2, at one point, I was just kind of in disbelief what was happening, just like cackling. That happened again last night. Between like Fish and Trey and Paige, and obviously, and all 4 of them, but what each of them were doing during this jam, there's this really cool. The first part is really cool when it starts to drift, away from the song proper, and it's the initial Type 2 segment, and then it just collapses into a black hole for like 7 minutes. There's so much going on. Listening back this morning, it's like Trey's doing ring modulator stuff. Fishman is just being an octopus. Paige is just unleashing ridiculous amounts of Moog. Like, this melt is nuts. It is unhinged. It is crazy. And I loved it.
Yeah, that's what we want our Split Open and Melts to be, right? I mean, that's like the name of the song. Like, you're supposed to like break everything open and just fall apart. And so when they do, it's the best. And they've been playing just some unbelievable versions lately. And I've only gotten to listen to this one once, but I was like, what the fuck is happening? I mean, it's wild. It's just super patient and creepy and weird, and it's exciting. And that's exactly the place that you want Fish to be in. And to feel that they're feeling that way after playing, for 3 hours at the end of the show, they still have that in them. It's like, yeah, they're so ready. I feel like this whole run is just going to be amazing.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it feels like the weirdness is being saved specifically for this song,
Yeah.
Just like everyone just presses all the buttons and it just like it works. It's not like it's cacophonous, but in a good way. It works, it's pretty interesting. I feel like it really works in that sense. And then so the show ends after that, and then everyone just kind of walks out confused, right?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. There was more of that kind of like demented giggling from me on the way out. I was like, like what the hell just happened? What did we just see? Like, that was the encore. Like, oh my god. I wish I'd run into Brian on the way out last night, because I really wanted to talk to him about that and see how he was leaving the show.
Well, this morning he texted that he had no words, and we all know that Brian Brinkman is not a man that is usually short of words. So true. I was excited for him and super happy that he's getting these shows. He seems like he had an awesome time.
Yes. But yeah, it was a crazy way to end the show. And I mean, we're halfway through the run, 2 amazing shows down, like 2 nights left. I'm ready.
What a year of Fish we're having.
Yes.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you got for tonight? Do you have any predictions, thoughts, hopes, wishes, dreams?
Reba tonight. I think Andy really, really wants a Reba. So I want that for him. I'm thinking we're going to get a big well either tonight or tomorrow. I said Big Chalk Dust as well. I think is coming. I think there will be some good fish played at Dick's tonight. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Awesome. What do you got, Megan?
Yeah, I think that all sounds great. I'm just like, I mean, for me, I'm just like, I feel like the way the band is right now, I don't even want to try to predict, because it's always just better than I thought. They're just playing so well. Trey's making great calls, set listing, and it's just been so thrilling. I have, because I'm I went back to work this week. I've been tired. So I've been going to bed and listening to the shows in the morning. And it's just so awesome to wake up and like see everyone's reactions, just like look back on Twitter and try to figure out what Ryan Storm was talking about at each of these different points. But it's just been awesome. I'm so happy for everybody that's out in Dick's. And I also wanted to just give a shout out. My friend Lindsay wrote the night one recap on fish.net. She did an unbelievable job. If you haven't read it, check it out. And I also just want to thank .net for getting more women on their site to review. I really appreciate that. And that's been exciting. And Lindsay, you crushed it.
Yeah. Thanks for getting more people involved with that. I would also like to give a shout out to the person who posts those reviews.
Thanks,
who is
thanks,
a
RJ.
handsome gentleman in Philadelphia. All right.
Is it Mark Brownstein?
Yeah.
Yesterday
Brownie.
I was texting with Brownie because he was home for 6 hours in between trips, and
Nice.
Wow.
my son was learning to ride a bike in the street,
I
and
saw the video. Very exciting.
it's very exciting. And Mark drove by while he was learning to ride a bike and leaned out the window and was like, "What's up, guys?" And so that's all I saw of
That's
him for
awesome.
now.
That's awesome.
All right, Ryan, have a great time. I hope all the family is having a great time, and hope you get to see Brian tonight. And we'll see you guys back here tomorrow, probably around the same time. I don't really know, but probably 11-ish again.
You'll find out when you wake up.
Yeah. You'll find
Find
out.
out
It's
when
a
you
big-
wake up.
It's a big mystery. You
Thank
never
you guys.
know.
Thank you guys so
John
much for
Joseph.
having me. Always a
Yeah.
pleasure to be on HF Pod.
And I just want to say this comment on YouTube. The No Simple Road crew is in town. Ryan, you should definitely meet them if you haven't yet. They did a show
Yes.
on Wednesday night with Andy Fresco. I know our friend Chris Pandolfi was part of that. It seems like an awesome event. But Mel and Apple and Aaron, they're all so fun to hang out with. So you should try to meet up with them.
Such good vibes. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think our friends at All That Jam podcast are also having some events today and tomorrow. So check them out. You can find that information out online too.
Awesome.
And I have
Thanks,
Clav
guys.
Tweet stickers. Come find me for Clav Tweet stickers.
Find Ryan Storm.
Always.
Always.